Shalom, my brothers and sisters. Shalom. Welcome to Less Than 10 Minutes. Words to Yashar'al, Nation of Believers. My name is Symmanayah, and if you're tuning in for the first time, you will come to know that Yashar'al, whom I refer to as a nation of believers, consists of all those who seek to do the will of Almighty Yahuwah. Those who accept Yahusha as Mashiach, as Messiah, consisting of both Hebrew and Goyim, other nations, or Hebrew and Gentiles, or Arbi and Gentiles. All those who seek to worship and obey Almighty Yahuwah and accept Yahusha as Mashiach, as our Messiah. These are my brothers and my sisters. This is my family of whom this message is addressed to. In this segment, I want to talk about avoid misplaced timing and transitioning. Let me say that again. Avoid misplaced timing and transitioning. Prepare to navigate through the coming chaos. With that said, let's get started, my brothers and sisters. Were there people in the wrong place at the wrong time during the days of Noah and Lot? Was evil, rebellion, disbelief among those who were destroyed in the flood, as well as who were in Sodom and Gomorrah? Do the scriptures mention that in the last days we will witness some of the same behaviors and disbelief? Consider Luke 17, verse 26 through 30, and it reads as follows: And as it came to be in the days of Noah, so also shall it be in the days of the son of Adam, or Adam. They were eating, they were drinking, they were marrying, they were given in marriage until the day of Noah went into the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all. And likewise, it came to be in the days of Lot. They were eating, they were drinking, they were buying, they were selling, they were planting, they were building. But on the day Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and sulfur from heaven and destroyed all. It shall be the same in the day of the son of Adam is revealed. Again, I ask you, was there evil, rebellion, was disbelief? Could there have been so-called believers or religious people who just didn't believe? In the wrong place, at the wrong time, who refused to transition, to move, to be where they were supposed to be or go where they were supposed to go? There are times to be still and times to move. Remember, if not guided by the Spirit of the Most High, don't get presumptuous or over anxious, because it could result in something severe, possibly death for some. Below is a verse from Numbers 14th chapter. I invite you to examine the whole chapter and book to get the importance of timing. But the verse I want to bring to your attention, please be mindful of. Numbers 14:43, chapter 14, verse 43. Because the Amalekites and the Canaanites are there before you, and you shall fall by the sword, because you have not turned away from Yahuwah. Because you have turned away from Yahuwah, Yahuwah is not with you. Key words to recognize in this verse: Yahuwah is not with you. And it said, because you have turned away from Yahuwah. Does Yahuwah dwell in us, my brothers and sisters? Is the Spirit of the Most High joined with our spirit, and we have become one in this earthen vessel? Let us be mindful how important it is for us to get to know His voice, obey His voice, identify His voice speaking through us one towards another, lest we, out of being overly eager, overly anxious, step out of the living guidance of the Father, and be caught in the middle of something where Almighty Yahuwah is not with us. Take heed, my brothers. Let's again revisit the following scriptures. Matthew 24, verses 4 through 8. And Yahuwah answered and said to him, Take heed that no one leads you astray. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Messiah, and they shall lead many astray. And you shall begin to hear of fighting and reports of fightings. See that you are not troubled, for these have to take place, but the end is not yet. Now he's telling us not to be troubled, because if we're following his living guidance, my brothers and sisters, if we are walking in obedience, then we will know that there are things we must be doing. Whether we are being prepared or used as martyrs, or whether we are being prepared and used to demonstrate the gathering of a perfecting and awakening nation, Yashar'al, we are not to be troubled. 24:7 goes on to read, for nation shall rise against nation and reign against reign, and there shall be scarcities of food, deadly disease, earthquakes in places, and all these are the beginning of birth pains. My brothers and sisters, fighting. See, many of us don't look at when they say scarcity of food. How many of us realize that may be one family or one neighbor or one group over another group fighting over food? If there's scarcities of food, would not it result in people fighting to get food for their stomachs or for their children or for their families? If there are deadly diseases, could there be people fighting over pharmaceuticals or drugs? What about earthquakes? Could people be scrambling, fighting, trying to get to safe places for shelter? Do you think the fighting in our wars is just about military conflict? Look again. Look around. Fighting is erupting all over the world in many forms and shapes. Where would you be when the fighting becomes more intense? Have you considered that the scriptures regarding fighting in our wars could be over food? Will there be fighting over fresh water and or possibly shelter? Are you aware that in the United States, each state is considered sovereign? Will there be battles from one state to another? Look around, my brothers and sisters, for even in the news we see that there's fighting over fresh water in the West. Are you aware that in the United States, battles from economic to class battles to race battles exist? Could there also be conflict and trying to just move along the highways and the byways, trying to get to where you need to be? Will there be more earthquakes and sinkholes displacing people in the coming future? Tornadoes? Natural disasters? Will living conditions become impossible due to nuclear disasters? Look around, my brothers and sisters. We are destroying water tables by use of fracking chemicals, a process used for drilling for natural gas. The nuclear plant in Japan is leaking radioactive water beyond their ability to control and contain. Please, please, please note the radioactive water is leaking into the Pacific Ocean in the direction of the Earth's rotation will and has resulted in some exposure in North America along the West Coast. Please note that there are desalination plants on the West Coast that are used to remove the salt from the ocean water for drinking and planting and other needs. But these desalination plants do not have the ability to remove radiation from the water. I posted a link to an article that depicts the possibility. Please note possibility, highly probable, of millions if not billions dying as a result of the Fukushima disaster in Japan. That's that nuclear plant. I would also encourage you to look up and research information regarding this plant, Fukushima, as well as consider researching the term Ring of Fire, which depicts volatile possibilities around the Pacific Rim. Next, consider the following scriptures. Revelation 6:8 reads as this, and I looked and saw a pale horse, and he who sat on it had the name Death, and the grave followed with him. And authority was given to them over a fourth of the earth to kill with sword, with hunger, and with death, and by the beasts of the earth. Are we in the last days or end times? Have any of the seals mentioned in Revelation been opened? Do we see anything resembling birth pains as described in Matthew 24th chapter? Are we filled with disbelief? Who is it that will make plain and known what we must do during these emerging times? I am compelled to believe there are instructions and guidance being provided. Instructions, guidance to prepare us, to direct us closer to the Most High. Instructions to get to know His voice. Who is able to discern the living instructions and guidance being presented? Are you waiting for the masses, a large number of people, to realize what's occurring before you consider or seek to take heed to the messengers and or servants of the Most High? Have you given thought to what it would resemble on the highways, the roads across the land, if hundreds of millions of people are trying to move at the same time? Are you aware of the congestion that will result? Not to mention the hysteria, the fears, the fighting over gasoline or fuels to get to safety. How close do you think we are to those humbling events intensifying? Do you believe because of your belief or your position that these things have not begun? Awake, nation of believers, those who seek to do the will of Almighty Father, and hear what the Spirit is saying to the assemblies. Hear what the Spirit is saying to us, one towards another. Pray and watch, my brothers. Seek to discern and have a ready mind to respond as guided by the Spirit of Yahushua. Choose wisely what you are going to do with these words. Know this, that the Father is not slack concerning His promises, and all Scripture will be fulfilled. Until next time, my brothers and sisters, be encouraged. Pray some more, watch. I will ask also your forgiveness, for this recording has exceeded 10 minutes. So please forgive me. Until next time, shalom, shalom, shalom.